Hello everybody, today we will make a presentation of the DR400 with the 155 CDI motor. I hope you will enjoy it. And we start directly on the making the before takeoff checklist at the runway 33 of Trinken. What we are going to do today is going to make 2 takeoffs and landings, and then we are going to proceed to Beerfelt to do also 2 takeoff and landings, and in between I will try to give you more information about this very interesting plane, and I think we can go on. Now you see the chart of the visual approach chart of the Trinken, and usually what we are going to do, we are going to make 2 touch and goes on the runway 33. After leaving the traffic to land, now I am lining up on the runway 33, and of course the visibility of a Robin is incredible. You have an enormous visibility, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to line up and here I make the last checks. What is very interesting is the throttle that you need to put it in full power, brake, and then check if something is going wrong with the engine. And of course the throttle is like the gas of a normal car. I mean, you can forward it fast, it will not be any problem with the motor, since this is a motor that it was taking from a car. And as you see now, I will proceed to the left-hand downwind of the Triengen. We had somehow a light bise. Bise is somehow the north wind in Switzerland, and this wind normally creates turbulence and make difficulties for the landings. Now I'm on the crosswind for the runway 33, and the aeroplane is extremely flexible. Now there are some turbulence due to the bise, the north wind, but in general the aeroplane is not like a Cessna. It is very flexible, and it really is very difficult with the turbulence. Now we are on the downwind, and we are preparing all this in order to land. The aeroplane is very simple. There is only takeoff and landing flaps, and to fly it is much more easier than some other aeroplanes. And now we are at the end of the downwind. It is very interesting that we will talk about this. This is the simplicity of the cockpit. But let's follow up now. I am at the base for runway 33. And in the most of the cases in this airport, if there is a strong north wind, there is where you get the most of the turbulences. Base, and of course it's time to go for full flaps. What is amazing with the CDI is how much flexible the throttle is. It's very, very flexible. You can, it is not the same like Lycoming that if you really push the throttle, you need to go slowly with the throttle. Here, you can put it more, you can put it less, you can bring it exact at the round PMs that you are interested to have, although this is measured in percentage. The stability of the approach in this aeroplane is incredible, and actually it's very, very easy to land. You can land it without even trying too much. You see the throttle, I pushed it immediately, and you go on also with the flaps on the takeoff position. And it is already up. There is no any problem. This is an incredible plane with extreme qualities on the basis that this is a wooden construction. And this gives him enormous flexibility, and of course it is very, very interesting from the maximum loading mass, which is 421 kilos. And the particularity is that the empty mass is 679 kilos. And this makes really a lot of sense because the loading mass is so big in this plane, and that's why it is very well sold this airplane. The main tank has a capacity of 110 liter, and the fuel flow with 80% engine load is about 25.8 liters per hour. And in case we are talking about cruising of 75% of engine load, then we are talking about 24 liters per hour. The approach and the descent on this aeroplane is approximately 60% of engine load, and on the takeoff and climb the throttle should be full open, minimum 94% of maximum load and minimum 2240 RPM. Here we are again at the finals for the runway 33, And as you see, although there is a light breeze, north wind, there is a lot of stability on the approach. You don't need to make enormous corrections. And the particularity is the rudders, which it's a little bit stiff, but you really don't need them too much because the aeroplane is very, very direction stable. Full throttle immediately, takeoff flaps, of course. And although this is a short field, you see that I'm already on the air, and the rate of climbing is amazing with this motor. Of course, you need to consider that I'm alone with the aeroplane, so this makes sense. So now I am going direction Beerfelt, and then we will talk about this on the arrival on the sector west of Beerfelt aerodrome. So now, as you see, I just took from the runway 33 and I go direction north, direction Beerfelt. During the way, I'm going to try to explain you some more details about the Robin 155 CDI as I experienced myself. And now I'm going to try to explain you what is basically we are having here to do with a very beautiful cockpit, which is actually the G500 Garmin, together with the transponder, the GTR 225A. And of course, there is the GTN 650 and the GTX 335 from Garmin. What it is very interesting is the warning lights on the top, and this you need to take immediately. When you fly the CDI, there is in case of engine failure, but I think as this aeroplane is concepted, you will not really have any time problems with the CDI. It's very rare. It's a very reliable motor, and of course there are problems. Now we are in Beerfelt and we are going to approach from the sector west, and in this case we will make the circuit for landing on the runway 08. Of course you need to go overhead in this airport of 2,500 feet and then decide to follow the downwind for 08 or 26 runway. On the right side, and this is fantastic with Robin because it has a wonderful visibility. Now you see the sector west, and this is the visual point, the bridge that you see on the right side. And then you have to go 3.5 nautical miles downstairs. Actually here you are approximately at 4,000 feet. And we're just turning to go direction to the airport. The use of the aeroplane is very easy. You don't really need to do nothing except bringing back the throttle. The aeroplane is far away forward. And of course, there is no also any problem. The engine is water cooled, so you don't really have a problem with to make it to bring problems when you are descending in idle power very fast. So in front is the airport, and I'm going to approach the overhead. Here we are at the overhead, and of course the gliding was not in use, so I just to put the airport at the camera, I took a little bit on the right. Normally you should not be there. And then we are going directly for the downwind for runway 08. You see there is also a little bit turbulence. This is also because of the north wind, and actually is coming maybe because of the small hill in front of us. So there now I'm entering the downwind, and it is very important in Switzerland you need to follow exactly. You don't need to bring your noise to the people around. Although the CDI is a very silent motor in comparison to the other ones. Now I'm turning to the base for runway 08. And here I am at the finals for runway 08 at Beerfelt. In front is the crossroad from the national road direction Basel and Bern. And of course you just, your finals is just above this crossroad. Of course, the runway in Beerfelt is much more bigger, and in this case, there is no any problem for a short. I'm also landing the Tecnam there, and it is a beautiful airport. Then, also full throttle, and you take the flaps up. And there is a little bit of crosswind, but this is not a problem. And then we go for the next, to go for the crosswind and then downwind for runway 28. And now I'm again, after the touch and go, I'm again at the finals for runway 28. You just make the last corrections. And look how smooth it is with the throttle. You can make exact adjustments for the throttle, exact the percentage or the round BM that you need. And of course, in this case, you have a very, very good flow of airflow on the wings. And you can manage very, very good landings. And now this is the landing there. And as you see, it's such it doesn't need at all runway. I'm in the first exit, I'm already out. And of course now I'm taxiing to go to the parking place. And now I am at the parking place of Beerfelt Airport. The particularity of this motor is that it needs 2 minutes of turbo spin downtime. And of course you leave it the motor because it's very, very important. Everything is automatic. So I hope that you really enjoyed this presentation of the CDI. And I hope that you enjoy. Please like, subscribe, and hope to see you again.